What's going on, guys? So a few people have been asking me to make a little 3F 7018 tutorial video. Whether you're running 3G, 3F, any kind of vertical 7018, the most important thing to remember is to always keep that 10 to 15 degree rod angle, that like kind of a push motion. I know they say don't push with 7018, but that's the only way to run this rod. So if you're coming in straight and it's getting too hot and you're leaving undercut, it's because you're not in that kind of push angle. If you come in and point down, it's gonna be even worse. So it doesn't matter which way you're stacking the steel. If I'm coming on this side, try to stack metal more on this side, or vice versa, this side, always keep that rod angle. And a lot of people, they have the tendency that when the rod gets shorter, their hand comes kind of a straight angle and then they start pushing. So as you work your way up, constantly remind yourself to kind of tilt your hand down. I like to run stringer beads, so I'm gonna run a stringer bead down the middle, 2 on top of those, and then 3 on top of those. So I'm gonna do 6 stringer bead pass. I'll show you guys how I like to weld these out.
So for the first pass, I just aim the arc directly in the center of the joint. All right, guys, so this is my first pass. And all I did for this first pass was I kept the arc in the center of that joint while making sure I was tying into both sides of these plates. Really want to watch the side of your puddles, make sure you're burning into both sides, and just maintain the same rod angle and go all the way up. Now for these next 2 passes, I'm gonna aim for the toe of the weld and cover about 50% of this weld, the first weld, while tying in the side of the plate. Do the same thing all the way up. Then you should have a little groove on this side since I only covered 50%. And then I'm gonna cover this 50% while tying into this side of the plate. It's just as important to cover 50% of that first pass as it is to tie into the side of the plate. All right, so again, I just covered 50% of that first pass while tying into this side of the plate. And I left a little groove to do the same on the other side. Remember, leaving a nice groove makes it easier to run a consistent weld. All right, so this is my 3rd pass. And all I did was fill up that little groove, covering 50% of that first pass while making sure I was tying into the side of the plate. Now for pass 4, 5, and 6, it's gonna be very similar to this second pass where I was covering 50% of the first pass while aiming towards the toe. I'm gonna aim towards the toe with that second pass, covering 50% of it, and then just working my way up. And then pass number 5 is gonna be directly down the middle. And then for pass number 6, we're gonna have that groove. And again, just cover 50% of that 5th pass while tying into the side of the plate. So for the 4th weld, I aim towards the toe of that 2nd pass. For the 5th weld, I aim towards the middle. And for the 6th pass, I aim towards the toe of that 3rd weld. All right, guys, so here's my passes 4, 5, and 6. The most important thing you need to remember about fillet welds is wherever you choose to direct that arc, that's what's gonna dictate where the metal lays itself.